Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make a custom harness for your HEI distributor. We're going to start with the battery. What you're going to do is make a connection off the battery onto an inline 30 amp fuse. We are going to be using a 30 amp relay that is going to be connected to a switch and connect right to the distributor. Now, things you will need for this project, I'm using 10 gauge wiring and then connections for that. So I'm going to walk you through the process of how I'm going to wire this. So as you can see on the blown up portion here, on the actual relay itself, there are 4 pins. That's all you need. And there's a set of numbers on here. I know it's kind of hard to see, but we'll crack this thing open. But you're going to see, and this is universal, 85, 86, 87, and 30. So when you flip on the actual switch here, it's going to bridge this gap. This is why we have these two connections tied together right here. And it's going to supply 12 volt power from your battery to your HEI distributor. For example, I have a 1966 F100 that I'm applying this to. The original coil has a resistance wire that actually drops down from 12 and it's around 9 volts, which isn't really sustainable for the HEI distributor setup. So that is why we're going to an independent harness. So instead of tapping into any pre-existing electrical connections that you have in your current vehicle, this is its own independent system, which is very convenient. At this point, let's get into actually building the harness itself. Another thing I will say is I'm using loom when we're done. I'm using the braided type instead of the kind of corrugated looking loom. So it might be in your advantage as well to slip that on before you get other end connections. Just a quick update, you can see the battery terminal connection that I've put on, and it stems all the way down to our first connection here, which is going to go onto our fuse. So we're going to connect that, going to work on the other end, and then we're going to start bridging our way down to this relay. So now the first part of our harness is created. Let's move on to making the wiring for the relay. I'm going to have one cut of 10 gauge. We're going to butt it and make a Y. Then at the end of that Y, we're going to have 2 spade connections. Now, after you follow those simple steps, your harness should look a little bit something like this. We have the battery terminal going down to the fuse link, 30 amps. And then coming up here onto our relay, we have 2 connections that are bridged together. And we're going off to 30 and we're going off to 85. Now we're gonna make a little harness for the HEI distributor and our power. I've created about a 2-foot section with a male connection with a cover, and then also a female connection to go on back to our relay. So this is going to go on our 87th connection here, and then we're going to bridge this to the wire that comes off the battery side. A lot of people get confused when it says bat on it. Yes, you are hooking to the battery, but not directly. That's why we've created this system. You do not want to hook your distributor straight up to the battery. Now, the last thing we're going to focus on is running wire from here to our switch. And as you guys can see, this is the final product here. So again, we have the battery terminal that goes down to the 30 amp fuse, which ties into our relay. We have the connection for the HEI here, which takes a male covered connection for a spade. And then we've also added just a switch on off, so we have our power and ground. And that's essentially all that you'll need for this system.